Hey, 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 welcome back to Drive Time. I am your host, Craig Pasta Jardula, and we do it live, bringing you all the hot takes, headlines, and unfiltered opinions that matter most. Whether you're stuck in traffic, cruising to work, or just chilling at home, we want to hear from you. Today's topics are all about the big stories making waves, but we're not just here to talk at you. We want to hear your thoughts, your experiences, and your take on everything from the latest political debates to the everyday challenges we face. Remember, whether you're on the left, the right, or somewhere in between, we welcome all points of view. So grab that hands-free device, dial us up, and let's dive into the conversation. What's on your mind? It's Drive Time. Call in now. All right. Welcome to the show, everybody. It is Drive Time, your time to get started. Look at my hair. Oh, my Lord. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up. I see some cool people in the chat early, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, if that's the saying. That's not me and Josh right now. We're moving at slow speeds.
It's true.
This move is crazy, man. Like, I don't know if there's going to be a show tomorrow, guys. I think the movie company's coming around 9:30, but I have some stuff to do to get ready for them. So there will probably not be a show tomorrow. I know I was thinking maybe a small show or whatever, but because I really don't want to stop the momentum, because there's been so much great momentum with you guys coming here, showing up early now. Every day is bigger than the last. Had some fun shows. Had a great show on Monday. We had Alex Strenger on. He's loving it. Came back. Could teach him how not to talk over people. Give him those little notes so next time he knows he can just relax a little bit and then fucking just, let the people talk. And yesterday, we had Nico House, of course. Nico House will be on vacation, so he won't be with us next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I'll be coming to you live from Peru. I'll be in Peru covering their inauguration, amongst other things that are going on. So that should be interesting, fun. I got to get up an hour early, like Josh, to see what it's like to do the show. Remember, if you want to call in, it's 561-247-2721. It's 561-247-2721. Sleepy, you were saying something before I rudely cut you off.
No, you didn't. I'm half asleep, man. I had to drag my ass out of bed today.
Broken AC in Florida is fatal right now. It is hot. It is hot out here, like nobody's business. But right now, as I'm looking over the Atlantic Ocean, and it will be tomorrow will be the last time I will see it in the morning. It's kind of sad because I get to wake up to this beautiful Atlantic Ocean. It's just calm and beautiful. The sun's hitting it. It's like a Bob Ross painting right now outside my window. Very similar to what you see behind me on the green screen. But hopefully no more problems. Like yesterday was ridiculous. They're doing some work in the building. We have what's called snowbirds here in Boca Raton, and there's a lot of them. And during the off season, they take out of town. They go back to New York. I believe in the show, the Family Guy, they were calling them leavers. And the leavers are here. Like when the leaves fall or something, they show up. So when it's fall time, they show up. And that's how it is over here, especially in this development. So there's not a lot of people here. It's hot. It's hot back in New York, too, in New Hampshire and all those other places.
It's hot here, too.
Yeah, but nothing like Florida. Florida is like...
Oh, it's humid as fuck here, dude.
Swamp.
It's humid as shit here. So it rains constantly here.
This is the swamp. You come over here and you see how it's like, and then we'll talk after. So I take my swamp weather over your Illinois swamp weather any day of the week, but that's
depends on where you're at in Illinois. South Illinois is real gross.
I wish you had the sound clip of Illinois Nazis. I hate Illinois Nazis.
Bunch of fibs
from the Blues Brothers. Colonel Karen will be on shortly. Hopefully, she'll remember today, and we can have ourselves a great show. It's always fun when she's here.
No coffee?
Not yet. I got up extra late. My new spot is nice too as well. Got my own little small office, so my studio will be in there. So that's kind of cool. How many people we have over on the Rumble? That's always fun. 8 people hanging out in the morning on Rumble. Entham and Bill leading the way with a Dingo Ate Me Baby and Bob of Atlantis. Good to see you this morning, Bob. Yeah. Gray Zone last night, Max covered his incident in Dulles. He returned fire against Laura Loomer, who called him a communist. Laura Loomer's so full of shit, right?
She's Jigsaw from Saw.
So yeah, everybody says that. She looks like
It's true.
Jigsaw. What's the name of that? The name of the Saw, right?
Saw. Yeah.
They call her the Saw woman or whatever, but it's Jigsaw. She told me when I met her, because we did a election integrity event. She came up to me after. She goes, "I've never heard a lefty talk about like the way you talk." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You're mentioning the Great Reset and the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and you understand some of the psyops." I said, "Yeah." So when we talked, she also told me a lot of the stuff that she had gotten criticism for. She was very young when she said it, and she had made believe to me that there was some like form of regret of the way she acted. Like, yo, I'm a young kid. Give me a little bit of a little bit of a break here. But then she doubled down.
And then she said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah. She said, "Hold my beer," and then she went into bullshit. I was trying to set up a panel a long time ago. I'm talking years ago, a couple years ago. I was trying to set up with Laura Luma and Anya Perrin-Powell.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, it's all before this stuff went to the next level, before she went super Zionist, right? We always knew she was a Zionist to this end, wow. So, anyways,
it's a little disturbing.
Is coming here right now. Y'all get to see me do my. Thank you, madam. I appreciate that. My first sip of coffee, guys. Oh, it's hot, too hot. Wow. That is I think, the whole market. What do you call it? The green market. It's a local supermarket out here, and they're pretty good, and they have their own coffee, organic coffee. So I think it says on the cover, mold free. Very important.
Well, I would hope it's mold free.
Mold free. Snorky. The S is silent in like that, and the S in Des Moines. Yeah, totally. That's what made it the line so funny. Illinois Nazis. I hate Illinois Nazis. Instead of saying Illinois Nazis. Yeah, I know.
It's from a movie, guys.
Not from Illinois, but it's a movie. It's a funny movie. It was the Blues Brothers. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday. You know what that means. We tap into our Pentagon chi here on drive time in the morning. Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski joins the show. Good morning, Colonel.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm in the middle of a move, and it's it's rough. So,
oh my gosh,
I'm a little stressed out. But things are moving along swimmingly, and I'm going to be moving into a new place. So when it's all said and done, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
So how about yourself?
Yeah, doing good. We have a little bit of hot weather, but I can't even say that to you. You're in Florida.
I'm glad you were listening, because Sleepy was trying to talk about how Illinois is really hot right now. And I bet it is. I bet it's hot in Ohio. But, this is like swamp weather over here. It's disgusting. I understand why people leave this time of the year and then come back when it's not as swampy. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally understandable. Yeah. I mean, we're used to it here, but, you think about what Virginia and the Appalachian Mountains, you think about it's cool, like there's trees, right? And but it's in the same latitude as Southern Ohio, which has some of the worst, most humid, hot summers you can get, and we're in the exact same latitude. And I remember this weather from when I was a kid, traveling up to Peebles, Ohio for the reunion, and it was just so hot. And it's the same thing here. But anyway, I'm not complaining. It's all good. Although it is nice to see the water behind you.
Yeah, I know. And that's the green screen. But to my right is the Atlantic Ocean, like out my window.
Okay.
I'm on the 12th floor of a condo, and my room overlooks the Atlantic Ocean. It's just beautiful right now. It looks better than behind me. Like the sun's hitting it.
That's so cool.
I see palm trees. It's like a Bob Ross painting is what I talked about.
Yeah. We could use more Bob Ross.
Yes.
Yes.
Please give us more Bob Ross. So, Colonel, I wanted you to dive into something. If you want to call in 561-247-2721, that's 561-247-2721. Bernie Sanders Blackjack. Bob of Atlantis, you might want to call in. Because I'm going to ask the Colonel about the whole merger that you kind of talked about. Section, I believe it was Section 219, where they merged the military of Israel and United States together.
Yeah.
I said it's not that big of a deal because they've been doing this anyways.
Yeah.
Why is it a big deal now that it's official in black and white?
Yeah. Well, it's well, they have they voted on it? Have they actually approved it? The NDAA? I don't think the Congress has actually approved it yet.
The Senate approved it. Then I guess.
They really? Oh my
I
gosh!
don't know.
I was paying more attention to the wars that we're fighting, but yeah, the reason it's really dangerous, if and when they approve it, which looks like they could, unless they want to reject the whole NDAA. I mean, they've got it buried in there, and it's not just Section 219. There's several different sections that address this, and one of the most insidious things about it is, and why it was done, why it was proposed by the Israelis, why it was pushed by AIPAC, why all the AIPAC senators and congressmen are voting for it, is because they want to hide deep inside the system in 1,000 and 3,000 page, legislation. They want to hide all of the resources and access and money that flow to Israel or can flow to Israel upon a simple request or a documentation, submitting a document. And I'll put it to you. I'll remind us of something that happened not long ago, and I haven't heard anything else about it. But you remember that guy, and I think we talked about it, CIA employee, civil service guy, got raided up in McLean, or not McLean, where it was outside of Fairfax, because he had something like
about that.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, there was a CIA employee who stole a bunch of gold. Okay, gold bars, and he had all this stuff. He also had cash. He has cash and other things. And the way that he stole this, he didn't go in and bank rob somebody. He simply, as a CIA civil servant, filled out a requisition. And he said, I need this money. I need this cash. I need these gold bars. I need these coins that you have, CIA. Why the CIA hoards this stuff, we don't know. That's another thing we don't know. But he requisitioned it, and he said, and they said on the form, what do you need it for? And he wrote down, well, I need it for this black operation that I'm working on that you really don't have clearance into, but here's the name of it. You can call my boss if you want to, whatever. And of course, it's a bureaucracy. So nobody calls anybody's boss. They give him the money. They give him the gold bars. They give him the gold coins. They give him the cash. They give him the resources that he wants because he had a piece of paper in the system, bureaucratically recognized, and they processed it with absolutely no significant oversight and absolutely no awareness of the American people. Now, at some point, some bureaucrat in that system, months, years later, I don't know how long this operation had been going on, said, oh, by the way, I'm looking through this paperwork. Whatever happened to your operation? Aren't we supposed to get that back after a certain amount of time or whatever the paper said, right? And they asked the question, and all of a sudden they looked at each other and they go, oh my God, did you check this guy out? And the guy says, no, I didn't check this guy out. You check this guy out? Anyway, this guy, this CIA employee who's probably going to go to jail for theft and fraud of taxpayer resources, this is Israel, okay? Now, this guy wasn't Israel. He was just some guy wanting to do what he wanted to do, and he found a way to do it in the bureaucracy, totally invisible to the American people. But Israel is setting up a system, a bureaucratic, requisition-oriented system, whereby they can do exactly what this guy does with zero oversight. And by the time anybody finds out, oh my God, we gave Israel this thing, we really shouldn't have. That was not something that, it was a foreign policy thing that we actually opposed, but they did something against our other laws. But the law that allowed them to pull the resources and do whatever they were damn well pleased with it was already passed. That's why they want this law. It is hiding so many things from the American people. Now, okay, I don't like the government, right? Yeah. And one of the reasons I don't like the government is because it's very large, it's very complicated, and it's very obscure. It's very opaque. If you want to find out, has anybody ever had a specific issue with the DMV? Like you got to transfer your plates or something, and you go in there and you think you have everything you need, and you go in there and you wait in line, then you get to the person, fill out a form, then they call your number. And then finally you're talking to somebody who's really tired, probably getting ready to go to lunch break. And they ask you a question and say, well, do you have this paperwork? Where's your birth certificate? You're like, what? What? I didn't know I need my, so, and then you have to start over. So it takes a great deal of commitment, awareness, and determination to get anything out of the government. Anything as simple as a form or a license that you should already have. Okay. Simple things that you are authorized by law to have. You have to fight to get them. Has anybody, you're too young. I know people my age, 65, 67, whatever, getting Social Security. Okay.
Yeah.
How you do that? And what about disability? There's so many people in this country on disability. I fortunately have never had to deal with any of that, but I have heard that when you go in for Social Security disability, it can be a nightmare. You can wait years before you get what it is you think that you deserve or whatever. And it requires many things that you find out only because you knocked on the door, asked a question. They said, oh, no, you need this. You go back, you get it. You come back. They go, oh, no, you need this other thing. You go back. You have to be determined. You have to be committed. Okay, now look at the average American citizen who pays his taxes, who works and produces for this country. How much time do we have on our hands to go and deal with the government? Why do you think they're cutting down flock cameras and putting spray paint on them? Because you can't get rid of them any other way. Try going to your town meeting and saying, I don't like the flock cameras. I believe they're a violation of my Fourth Amendment rights of the Constitution. And you will be replied by your town council. Your board of supervisors will look at you with dead shark eyes. They do not have any idea what you're talking about when you say the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. Okay, so now you got to explain to them. Oh, by the way, elected local official. Yeah, we have a constitution. It applies to everybody. Oh my gosh, not just citizens. It applies to everyone who is sitting with 2 feet on the ground or 1 foot on the ground in this country. Okay, it is natural rights that are protected. Okay, and there's one of those. Fourth Amendment talks about these things. You have to spend your 3-minute time slot explaining the government to the government official. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to be very determined. This is why Section 219. This is why you don't want to fuse your military with.
I think it was blocked, by the way, from somebody put down in the.
So far.
So I guess I saw that it was 50 Republican senators. I thought it got through them, and I guess it did not.
Well, I don't think Ron Paul. I don't think Rand Paul will vote for it, and there may be another senator that opposes it on the Republican side. But yeah, they're all useless. I mean, seriously. But what this is about is the continued, now I'll sound like a Marxist. It's the continued exploitation of American taxpayers and American workers, okay? Because they want your money to do whatever they want with it, and they don't want you asking any questions, and they're going to make it very difficult for you to do that. Israel's upset because nobody likes Israel anymore because they mass murder kids. They conduct genocide, okay? So we know this. We don't like it. So now when the Congress debates, should we do another 10-year, $40 billion aid, automatic aid, no strings attached to Israel, no strings attached. What do you mean? Yeah, you can conduct genocide with that 3.8 billion a year. You can conduct genocide. You can murder Americans. You can arrest Americans and throw them in jail and torture them and rape them. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. There's no strings attached. Well, guess what? Now is not the environment where Israel wants us talking about that aid. So what better way to not only get the aid, but double it, triple it, quadruple it, get whatever you want, whenever you want, with no complaints by the American people. You put it into legislation. That's why it's dangerous. And I'll tell you, this is a well-practiced procedure to hide things that Americans don't like in legislation. Now, many people too young remember the Patriot Act. Remember the Patriot Act? Nobody read it. Yep. It's 3,000 pages. They gave them 72 hours. There were 3 copies, one for the House, one for the Senate, and I assume one for the guy who holds the library. And nobody got to read it. And then when it passed, it had a whole bunch of stuff in there that was unconstitutional. It was very bad. Also, Nancy Pelosi defended another piece of legislation, I think under Obama, but I'm not 100% sure. And she kept saying, we have to pass it to find out what's in it. We have to pass the bill so we can find out what's in it. Are you an idiot?
Yeah, I know.
That's how they operate. That's how they operate. Israel knows it very well. It's the nature of government. It's the nature of the state. And so they're taking advantage of this this procedure, this bureaucratic procedure. They're threatening. I mean, my God, you don't even have to be the Israeli lobby to threaten a representative or a senator if you don't vote for the NDAA. They stuff it in the NDAA. If they don't strip it out, everybody and their brother's going to say, you're putting my employer out of business, or we can't defend America. We can't defend America. You have to do it. So again, it's a game that's being played, and guess who pays the price? Guess who the loser in this game is?
The proletariat.
There you go. That's exactly.
I got to get you completely on the Marxist train, right?
No, I love. Hey, look. My favorite. One of my
Repeat
favorite.
after me, Karen. Say, I am
the
proletariat.
Yeah. Well, you know what I like in terms of
Fred Hampton would
proletariat? That's really Marxist. I prefer Orwell's proles. We are proles, and I can totally use that term. Proletariat is a little too academic for me. But are we not proles? Are we not proles, as in 1984's Orwell, as he described it? A shortened version, casual for daily use, right? Who's going to walk around talking about the proletariat? But you know what? We are proles, and people need to remember that. We need to realize that's how the government sees us. That is exactly how they see us.
That's how the elite see us, as
useless. Absolutely.
Eaters. To me, that's one of the best terms to use, because it really does. It should make a person think when they realize that there's a government within a government. There's a ruling class that doesn't care about you. They call you useless eaters. That should wake you up.
Yeah.
If there's a parasitic class that thinks that you're a useless eater, come on, people, wake up to what's going on. You got to do politics, or politics will do you. Yes. Who killed Lindsey Graham, Colonel?
Well, I wrote it.
I see you laugh. It's a funny one, but it's true.
It is. Probably the devil called him home. That's probably what happened. But
Lindsey, where you been?
Lindsey, I miss you, man.
Grab your stuff and get home, Lindsey.
McCain's like, come on, buddy, I need a friend.
That's right.
With Kissinger going, what are we eating dinner down here?
Yeah. But I wrote my latest Substack is kind of talking about that a little bit. Not so much about what happened, but I do reference Larry Johnson's piece. He came out early on. He usually comes out early on with a theory with some backup to it. But he says timeline doesn't work. He says the guy clearly was rushed home. But the funny thing to me is Trump is in perfect denial. He's doing an Epstein on this on Lindsey Graham. Hey, there's nothing there. FBI's wasting their time looking into it. And they probably are. Our FBI couldn't find, its ass, whatever they say. They couldn't. They're not very competent. And they only do what serves the FBI, not the people. But one thing that's interesting is that the public story or narrative or whatever the news on Lindsey Graham is that he had an aortal tear. Now, let's say he was not overweight. He was pretty active, I guess. Who knows? He looked healthy.
He looked very unhealthy, that guy. He looked
he looked unhealthy, but not heart-wise. You could see me. I could see I couldn't really see his heart going out. I mean,
the complexion of his skin always concerned me. It's like this guy's not looking healthy. He's not getting much vitamin D or H2O there. But please continue.
No, that's true. That is definitely true. And also, he is basically he went home. He went home to hell because you could tell that guy was animated by hatred, contempt, and thoughts of murder. This is what kept him going. In fact, it's so sick, actually. Not that he's gone, but Blumenthal and another Democrat senator, 3 Democratic senators, want to do a massive Russian sanctions act along with an increase in aid to Ukraine. And they're justifying it because Lindsey worked on this with us in the last week of his life. And there's no better tribute to a great American senator than to pass the war bill. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so, it's a few more. But the idea of an aortal tear. Okay, so all of us are, not all of us, many of us are of the age where we have had people have heart problems in our life that we would see. Okay. And how often do you see an aortal tear? I mean, you can see an infarction, you can see a heart attack, you can see a blockage. Blockages are so common. You can see embolisms, which a thin wall of a vein or an artery.
Okay.
But we rarely have our doctor tell us that it's an aortal tear. Okay. And I thought it's so interesting because when they do the autopsy, his aorta is probably torn. But what tore it? It's the question. Was it shrapnel? was it something from the Russians bombed the facility, the drone facility that he visited. The Russians bombed that almost simultaneously to his visit. They also apparently bombed the hotel where a number of Americans on the Lindsey Graham trip stay. I mean, there's only a few hotels they're going to stay in Kiev anyway, but that was also hit with the Russian strike. So that could have been accident on purpose. Could have been totally different timing. Larry Johnson thinks the timing does not allow him to arrive in America alive. He thinks he was injured or harmed there. But the aortal tear is interesting because it's not the normal thing the doctor tells you when you end up in the hospital at age 71. It's usually like 6 other things with your heart. It's not an aortal tear. And Trump's saying, oh, he had a hereditary situation. It just could have taken him any time. But that's usually that's usually not called an aortal tear. There's other words for it. So it's interesting that you're using that. Anyway,
let me provide some pushback for you real quick since we get to do this on the show. And don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
I love and respect Larry Johnson, but Larry does throw some stuff out there.
He does.
Sometimes and I go, Larry, I wish you would have sat on that one, right? And I love the video with him talking to Mario, and I'm not a big Mario on the Wall guy. I definitely think that guy is Mockingbird Media. He came out of nowhere, and that guy's talking points. He's part of that whole clan. I mean, he's not as bad as some of them out there that you can clearly see that. Just like when we look at the president and you say, how is this idiot the president? You see a lot of these media people like, how is this idiot getting views, right? Larry is definitely not in that category, but he did talk to Mario on the Wall, and I do appreciate, he'll go with the people who are there because, he's got a lot of great things to say, especially with the cigar and the Cuban hat. He was just, he was a pimp. I'm like, God, Larry Johnson, you're a PIMP. Let's go party in South America together, me and you. However, like I say, sometimes the one thing I can remember in particular, he said that the Iranians were going to come out and demonstrate that they had a nuclear weapon. Whatever happened to that?
Oh, yeah. I hadn't heard anything about that.
I was like, Larry, well, I think you should have sat on that one. Also, the one where Donald Trump, he got told by an inside person that Donald Trump wanted to know the nuclear codes or something, and he had to get out of it. That's one it's going to be hard to prove. Probably would have sat on that one, too, as well. And I'm not saying these things to belittle Larry or put him down because 95% of the information that comes out of that guy is so solid, and I love watching all his shows. So, however, his particular story, and I know that story is getting played a lot too as well, I have a hard time believing until I have solid evidence. And I'm not saying that the Russians could have done it. Accident, drone factory, had a heart attack from hearing the explosions, whatever the case may be. But I have a hard time believing that Vladimir Putin and the Russian Federation would have done something like that now, even after the assassination attempt on Putin's life, right? No. We heard about that. The helicopters. They had
and also Lindsey Graham is not worth starting a World War III with the Russians.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Why do all that stuff and give the Russians why would the Russians then, what they've been trying to, Minsk 1, Minsk 2, international law, still talking. This war has lasted longer than the Great Wall. They still haven't sealed off the Black Sea and taken, territory that can really put Kiev in a lot of problems. They can cut them off from the ocean. Yeah, they haven't done it yet. They haven't taken Kiev. They haven't done all those things. Why give the Americans the ammunition to say,
I'm with you on,
we're going to keep this going, we're going to bomb you? I just don't see it happening.
I think because I read over his article. I linked other things too. That's one thing. My point was that you can't believe what the government says, and we never do, and so we look for alternate theories. That was partly why I linked that there. This is a theory that came up pretty quick, but there's other ones too. But I agree with you. I mean, Russia would not intentionally target a U.S. senator, even Lindsey Graham. I mean, they wouldn't do that. But the fact that if that could be a setup, I mean, this is what I'm saying about the multi-levels of we don't trust the government. Could the government could some government be interested in making it look like Russia did that? They can rely on Larry Larry has good info, but if Larry publishes, like you said, 5% of what he publishes turns out to be a false lead, so to speak, like what the New York Times does about 95% of the time, then you could see if that our foreign policy oftentimes seems like we take some spaghetti, we throw it on the wall and see what sticks. and that's not sticking. This story that Russia might have done it, and then if they did it, would it have been intentional or not? But I will say this: Lindsey Graham very likely did visit. Well, he did visit. I mean, there were pictures. He was holding the drones. He visited the drone factory. The drone factory was targeted and hit. But the thing is, any drone factory in Ukraine in the past 3 weeks since they've stepped up the war, Russia has realized that America lies. You've got Lavrov out there saying, we had high hopes for Anchorage. You guys, we had an agreement.
Yes.
We had a lot of
whatever happened to Anchorage.
Whatever happened, nothing happened because Trump's a liar, and Trump had no intention. He's a player.
Yeah.
And he's has his strings pulled by others who clearly want to continue with this long strategy of hampering Russia, holding down Russia, weakening Russia through other proxy wars. And obviously Ukraine is one of those proxy wars. So that philosophy, that thing we've been doing since before Biden and continuing under Trump, that's basically the foreign policy of America that continues regardless of who the president is. So Trump goes up there thinking he's in charge, and I want to chalk this down to my 6th of 7 wars I've ended at that point, whatever it was he said. And he goes in there with his agenda. I'm going to end this war because I said I would. It was a campaign promise. Of course, I was going to release Epstein files too. I didn't do that, but I'm going to end this war. So he goes in there, I'm going to end this war. And he shakes hands and does a big deal and talks to Putin. And I don't know if they signed anything, but they certainly made progress on the surface. Then he gets back to Washington, and the people that own Trump and control him told him, they explained to him, no, this isn't happening. Thank you for what you did. We're continuing with the war, and we're going to keep funding, and we're going to do deep strikes in Russia, and we're going to try to start World War III. And part of this, and they explained it to Trump like, well, part of this is we're going to strengthen NATO, because if NATO is not scared, they won't invest their hard-earned and shrinking, capital fund in weapons, and we want them to buy American. Of course, NATO didn't do that. NATO has spent more money on their weapons, and they're buying less American per capita per, the ratio of American versus European-made stuff is equalizing now. It's not overwhelmingly American product. So that didn't really work like they wanted. But anyway, they explained to Trump how it's going to be. So Trump, being the little intellectual butterfly that he is, switched gears to another project. How about let's get some oil from Venezuela? Yeah, let's do that. Okay, fine, we'll do that. And then, how about we take over the Strait of Hormuz and decapitate the regime in Iran? And they go, that's fine, that fits in, because that produces chaos. That causes financial leverage around the world to be able to be manipulated. That's all good for us, the deep state, or whatever you want to call it. So, but Trump's just,
what do you think, though, with that being said, what the hell is in Putin's mind? This is the thing there.
Okay.
Putin has become, like, when he got in the heels of a couple oligarchs, one oligarch in particular that a lot of people, when you think about Dmitry Kirill, who's really close to him, one of his advisors, invested in BlackRock, Vanguard, very much wants to just remove as many sanctions, wants to go back economically to the table with the United States. There is that's involved, that global economic kind of incentive.
Yeah.
But we did see Putin for years be more of a nationalist and seem to take his country's interest, at least to a lot more than anybody else, at least more than his predecessor too as well. I mean, that guy was just like, go ahead and bomb Belgrade, what's his name? Boris Yeltsin. Fall down drunk. So, I mean, but what's going on with him right now? I mean, what's in his mindset? He knows who the United States is. He knows from what happened with George W. Bush and the whole Chechnya situation, whether he knows, and he said this before, and the reason why I know he knows is because he said it in Oliver Stone's documentary where he made about him, is that the United States, the presidency is not driving the bus. There's another apparatus that's in control. The president is just a figurehead.
Yeah.
What the hell is going through his mind right now? And I know, you have people out like Colonel Douglas McGregor who said, I think, Putin's approval rating went from 79% to 71%, so he'll be okay. No, there's half-hour, 45-minute lines for gas now in Moscow.
Yeah.
It's starting to get a little hairy over there. What do you think the heck is on that guy's mind? Because this does seem like a quagmire of a situation. We talked about it with Don DeBar, who's a journalist, covers that stuff a lot, and there are things that Russia could do. Vanessa Beeley had talked about them, that they're going to up the drone factory bombings inside Kiev and those areas, and probably maybe hit off some trains that are coming in from Europe that are bringing those drones. But it's not even necessary to bomb the drone factories in Europe. You could do a lot. And this is what other people are saying. But what do you think is on his mind? Why wouldn't he even go to Anchorage when he knows that the president's going to blow sunshine up his ass, and then he's going to ingratiate him and then end up capitulating to what the United States wants to do anyways?
Yeah. Well, I don't think Putin is going to capitulate anything. He remains a Russian nationalist, and also there is some similarities between the Iranian government with there's a religious connection. There is honor associated with how they see their foreign policy. They call it sacred defense and all this, and so there's this integration of religious spirit, popular spirit, patriotic spirit, and national spirit all in one. And I think Putin has shared that, and we've seen it even longer than we've seen it with Iran. But we didn't see it developing in Iran because we weren't looking for it. But it was certainly all of those years of sanctions, and that's actually what sanctions do to a country. They drive them together. The people suffer together. They then overcome together. And because of that, they are unified in so many ways. And of course, not everybody agrees on things. But if you have this common base of shared suffering, and my God, the history of Russia in many ways is that base of shared suffering. And Putin is drawing on that. He has 70%, even if it's down to 70%. We haven't seen that for an American president in a long, long time. And it's not sustained. So Putin is popular in Russia because he's a nationalist, and also because he talks about and embodies the idea of Russia in connection with Russian culture and the Orthodox Church. Now, this sounds crazy, right? Because Putin came up through communism, right? Putin came up through atheistic communism, where churches, they didn't get rid of all the churches in Russia under communism, but they certainly
weren't atheists. They weren't atheists. It really wasn't as atheist communist as people think it was. They just didn't bring their religion into their politics. They were still churches. He was a religious man. He was religious. Stalin was almost a priest, for crying out loud. So I mean,
that's right. That's right. He was. But
they
again,
closed the churches, and I don't mean to drift off another subject, but this gets touchy for me because when people talk about the Bolshevik Revolution was about getting rid of Jews killing Christians, and they closed all the churches. No, they closed the churches that worked for the monarchy, that worked with the czar. They were the oppressive arm, just like it's been in Europe throughout the years. So they closed the oppressive arm, and then Stalin, years later, like 10 years after, is when he took over for Lenin, built more churches in Russia than any president out there. Sorry to interrupt, but I just want to.
No, and I'm glad.
I apologize, but
no, that's good, because I'm glad you said that, because churches are a means of governmental control. Governments always co-opt churches if they can. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the churches, and particularly the Orthodox Church in Russia, is a form of societal organization and strength. And I do think Putin's promotion of it is not just because he's a believer, because he is a believer. You can tell that when he talks. He brings up a lot of stuff. I don't think he's smart, but I also think he's a believer. However, he's also a government person, and you must have the churches on your side. The kings of Europe had to have the churches on their side, or else make their own church.
In Saudi Arabia, if you don't have the clerics lined up, they'll take your ass out. So yes, you're right. You have to be in line with the church.
But Putin has successfully utilized that, and that's something we don't really see as much in the United States. We have church politics with the Christian Zionists, but we don't really have a unified, Protestant organization or Catholic organization of America that backs the government. Now, if you get a war, you'll see all the churches except for the Quakers, and the Friends, you'll see most everybody fall in line under the government due to fear. We saw the churches totally co-opt for the most part with COVID. Churches were enforcing the government. So when I say, I'm a believer, but when I look at the structure of churches, I see just another organizational, societal, machine that can be utilized by government, and often is sought to be utilized by government, and that's fine. And Putin is doing, to some extent, that is what the Orthodox Church serves in Russia. But he doesn't mandate what they preach. He kind of goes under its wing, because he says, I believe this is part of Russian culture. Anyway, it is a form of political strength for him. right now. The other thing is
All right, we got a caller.
We do.
Yeah.
I finished that thought. Oh, well, wait,
Yeah,
that's
the Russians want him to destroy Ukraine and take it over completely and abolish and murder basically all the Nazis that are left. That's what the Russian people want him to do.
Yeah,
his popularity has dropped.
I mean, it's Nazis who hate them that they're at their border.
Right.
Let's get into this phone call.
Yeah.
We can always continue this conversation.
Absolutely.
Write it down, guys. You're watching or listening to Drive Time. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Bob of Atlantis. Good morning.
I said Bob of Atlantis was going to call in today because we were doing that thing and the NDAA and the 219. So
it's actually hard for me to say anything about the NDAA. It's already kind of been like I don't have any original thoughts on that. But the Russia thing, it's also kind of hard to call in because I just want to hear what the colonel has to say about it. It's very very on point. But the one thing I wanted to add is, like, they just sent one of our astronauts up to the ISS yesterday. Russia and the U.S. are still cooperating in space. We're still cooperating on a lot of things. There's a lot about this war that, like, as the colonel's saying, is it seems to me that it is good for Putin, and it's definitely good for the DC class that is grifting off of it and getting a lot of money off of it. So to me, it feels like, I'm not a Putin hater or anything, but it feels to me like everybody at the top is getting stronger off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the people are starting to get pissed off. Somebody in the chat was arguing with me. There's not lines for gas in Russia. Like, yes, there is. I talked to a Russian. It's like it's starting to get worse right now. It's not nothing crazy like what I witnessed in Cuba, where you're waiting for 5 hours to get gas. But there's like half-hour waits now, 45 minutes. Some people talked about waiting an hour. The Ukrainians have been hitting successful with drones oil refineries. Now, I don't know if that stopped the flow or it's just temporary and they can get past this. And there's also and the colonel pointed it out, they want them to pretty much take Kiev. They want that government out. They want them to parachute into the capital, maybe with Viktor Yanukovych, put him back in and say, this was the guy who was the president. You're out now. But, and the president, and maybe Colonel can piggyback on this. I do think there is a growing concern and pushback against Putin now to end this. There's a desperation. They're talking about calling people up in Russia, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know a young person that's like, oh shit, are they going to call my ass up to go to war? I don't want to go to freaking war. No, so that's looming too as well. But it's also a quagmire. Let's say, for argument's sake, and we can hear the colonels. Well, let's start, and I'll piggyback off this. And since you're calling, Bob, you can piggyback. Do you think, Colonel, there's a growing concern for Putin, at least the fact that he's got to understand that Russian citizens who were anxious to get involved in the first place while he was trying to do Minsk 1, Minsk 2, are starting to get a little bit tired of this war that has now lasted longer than the Great War?
Yeah. I mean, they are tired of it. And they're also tired of messing around with a little piddly-ass country like Ukraine, despite the fact that it's got pretty much most of NATO helping it, and it's being used as a NATO training and practice field. They're experimenting with new weapons and things like that to see how they work, and they don't like it that the little cokehead is out marketing his technology, his drone technology. Although the Saudi Arabia and others did not take him up on his drones, as you know, so he's kind of not as competent as he thinks he is. But Russians are sick of this guy. They're sick of the war. They're sick of being in safe cities like St. Petersburg and Moscow and taking hits. They're sick of it. They don't. There's no excuse for it. They say we're big and strong. He's tiny and retarded. Excuse my use of that word. He's not retarded, but he's high. Let's put it that way. That's his choice. He has the wrong friends. He's hooked up with
Cokie Smurf, we called him. Yeah,
Cokie Smurf. Yeah. And so anyway, he's not a worthy enemy. Why are we still fighting him? I think this is the attitude, and that's why Putin's popularity has dropped, and not because he has. It's because he hasn't fought hard enough. He hasn't really engaged, and so Putin is in a position where, obviously, he thinks about the whole country, and I think anybody, even the rottenest, most terrible dictators, which Putin is not, care about their country. But Putin does definitely take the long view. So he does not want to burn every bridge with the United States. at all. And I think that great mention of what just happened with, they hooked up with the space station and are working with the space. And actually, that happened during the Cold War too. We did have areas where we cooperated and worked with the Russians throughout the Cold War. So, I think,
and here's another thing too as well. You know who you see a lot of lately that you hadn't seen in the past? Dmitry Medvedev, the former president, where a lot of people are thinking that he's a little bit more iron-fisted than Putin.
Yes.
Now you hear him a lot in speeches. You're seeing him a lot, and I'm starting to think to myself, are they getting ready to bring this guy back? Are the hardliners going to be able to make him move?
Not Medvedev. They won't bring Medvedev.
Some of the hardliners like him though, right?
No, they do. But he is also just like we pull Vance out to say something Trump can't say. It's he is channeling what many Russians, I would say the majority, feel, and that is a great deal of frustration with how long this has taken and the cost of it. Now, one thing that's happening, and Putin is able to, I think this serves Putin's agenda, is they're almost done with the special military operation. They've pretty much taken most of the Donbass. They control it. There's a little bit left to do. Now, the Russians are like, why is it taking so long? Well, it is a proxy war backed by NATO and the United States. So it's taking a long time because if Ukraine did not have that backing and that unlimited resource of money, although he's skimming off literally, hundreds of billions of dollars into private hands in Ukraine, but without that support, this wouldn't have gone on. So this is a great peer competition, just happens to take place in Ukraine. That is something that
I think that they're slow rolling. And Bob, please jump in, because I think they're slow rolling the whole situation because Putin is trying to show some good faith because he wants to go back to doing business with the United States. So, and I think people are understanding that, and they're getting pissed off by that. Bob, jump in.
Yeah, so while Kiev is striking into Russia, they're not hitting the Kremlin. And while Russia's attacking Kiev, for the most part, except for maybe Lindsey Graham, they're really not trying to hit the leadership. They're not trying to hit Zelensky. They're not trying to hit NATO leaders. So it does seem like they are both sides being constrained. And additionally, Russia's war game and NATO's war game have increased have made a quantum leap in this war. Kind of like Spain before World War II, everybody's getting their weapons out. Everybody learned that tanks are no good anymore. Everybody learned that drones are the way to go. And the evolution of the drone has to, I don't know, I'm not inside, but it has to have been leaps and bounds over what it was when the war started.
No, that is absolutely true. This is
what's keeping the war going so long, right?
And just like NATO wanted Ukraine to be a practice field, and it has served as one, Russia also gets to practice. And Russia has revealed over the past 4 years, they've revealed advances that are actually quite interesting. And some of them, of course, exceed anything the U.S. has. And this is why we like wars too. I say the military industrial complex needs to be able to show off their next gen stuff. And they also need to burn up their old stuff, which clearly the first 3 years of Ukraine were nothing but all of NATO and the United States sending all their odds and ends, their clearance items to the clearance rack. Let's blow that up. Let's sell that cheap. Let's give that away. Get rid of it. And now we've cleared the shelves. We can bring in newer stuff that's been
valuable. And we can rewrite those budgets nice and high. It's like I talked to Michael Scott in the office.
Absolutely.
Like, what do you mean? Can you tell me what's going on? Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Well, pretend you have a lemonade stand, but you only use half the lemonade your mom gave you. She's not going to give you money to buy another crate of lemons unless you use all the lemons. I got it. So it's like we have to, and this is why I'm saying that we're not just fighting Israel's wars. There's a military industrial complex that's like, why don't we kind of let Israel take the front of this, fight their wars, empty our shelves, get the budget, and then Lockheed Martin got a $38 billion no-bid contract to replace the THAADs the other days. Who's making money there? It's the American stockholder, right? They're making money off death and destruction. So they're kind of quiet about it a little bit, right? Like they're you know what I'm saying? Because they're making so much money. Bob, do you have another question? Because while you're on the phone and I have the Colonel here, thank you so much. I have something to pose real quick, and I'd like to hear both your opinions on it. This is also the reason why they can't finish this war. It's a little bit of a quagmire. how are you going to take Kiev? If you try to take Kiev, just imagine a big city with Azov battalion members dug in guerrilla warfare style all over the place. If the Russians tried to go in and secure Kiev, it'd be a friggin' nightmare. And I think that enters into their mind that, like, all right, the only way to end this war, the people want the Nazis gone. They want the Azov battalion out. They want Zelensky gone. They'd like to have some type of government that will be halfway friendly. That's what, Minsk 1, Minsk 2 is about, keeping the Donbass part of Ukraine so the country would remain at least in a neutral space, because you have so many ethnic-speaking Russians that would vote in their candidates. Now you don't have that. But don't you both believe? And Bob, we're going to give you first crack at it here since you're the first caller on today's show. Don't you believe it's a quagmire that you might not be able to solve in taking Kiev?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, since 2014, the U.S. State Department has been over there turning the people of Ukraine against the Russians. And what Russia has taken right now is the Russian ethnic people that are going to be that they're not going to have to like tame, or they're not going to have to try too hard to control. It kind of reminds me of the beginning of the war. I don't know if you remember when Russia drove straight to Kiev, and there were tanks driving around in Kiev, driving over cars and stuff that were like I think on the Ukrainian side. Yeah. And then Russia sat there for like a week with this giant convoy that would have been super easy to attack, and then backed up, went back into Belarus and back into Russia. It was such a weird war.
They said they backed off, Bob. I believe, just correct me if I'm wrong, it was a sign of good faith. So as they were negotiating, they removed all the convoys, because they were right outside of Kiev. They were there, but they backed off for some reason. Yeah. So yeah,
it's such a weird war.
It is a weird.
But yeah, I think you're right. They don't want to try to occupy a hostile people that are against them.
Yeah.
And also, too, I agree with that. It makes a ton of sense. But also, too, Kiev is a Russian city in the sense, and they don't want to destroy it and turn it into
their brothers and sisters.
Yeah, and that's something that you have to admit. Putin and Lavrov and others, the spokesman, even Medvedev, who is, he's hot. He's hot to kill the Ukrainian Azovs and whatnot. But they all talk repeatedly about the Slavic Brotherhood. There's no reason that they can't live side by side, and they don't want to destroy what's left of historic Kiev. They don't want to do that, and there's no reason to do that. What they want, and I think what they could have almost had in Ankara until we screwed that up, or Istanbul, wherever it was, where they made 3 months into the war, they had an agreement, and what they want is a neutral Ukraine. And they don't really care how big it is. First, they wanted what Minsk promised, which was you're going to stop killing Russians and shelling them and denying them the right to speak their language and go to their church in the Donbass area. That's what they wanted first. And Minsk said, "Oh, okay, we'll do that," but they didn't. And so what they want now, what they proposed and what almost got agreed to, was pretty much a neutral, not disarmed, but a politically neutral Ukraine that would not be making war, kind of like a Switzerland. It's well armed. The people have an identity. They speak all the Ukrainian they want, and they can do what they need to do. But they're not fighting with anyone, and they're not being used by any great powers to be fought. That means they're not used by Russia to fight NATO, and they're not used by NATO to fight Russia. That would have been a great thing, except BlackRock couldn't have made all the money that they thought they could make. And we had still not removed our biological labs and all the things that we have been doing and investing in Ukraine. And so it didn't fit with the American, the Brit, and the NATO version of things. So you send the little, I forget the British guy who came down there and blew it up, but we were blowing it up. We didn't want that. We didn't want peace. We didn't want neutrality. We didn't want another Switzerland. And really, Switzerland isn't the Switzerland that it used to be. Switzerland now is not it's not independent. It's not non-aligned.
Talking about Bojo, right?
Bojo, yeah.
I got it at the same time. In my mind, the auspicious.
Yeah, well, I was thinking
the head Johnson.
Yes, and his crazy hair and his big mouth. But it's funny. Trump talks a lot about people with big mouths, and it's so funny because it's like you're looking in a mirror, dude. You and your friends are the big mouths. But yeah, I mean, there was a potential for peace, but that peace wouldn't have profited those that are currently profiting. And also, it wouldn't have profited the Ukrainian oligarchs because they're not popular. There's a reason, and it's not the war. There's a reason that Zelensky has suspended elections for the last 3 years. The people, he's not popular. People are sick of war, and you can imagine why they wouldn't be. And also, the society of Ukraine, when you get that many people that voluntarily or because of war depart the country, many of them are in Europe, some are in Canada. They've got they've come here. They're not going back. They don't want to go back. Why would they want to go back?
Nobody. Yeah.
So
we went to
ruined
Israel too, as well, like Igor Kolomoisky. While we're talking about Russian oligarchs who bankrolled Zelensky, let's give Bob the last 30 seconds. Bob, you can put a cherry on top, get your last comments, so just in case we have a call in the wings, we can get to that person. But thanks for calling in today, brother. And I know I see you holding me accountable in the chat. By the way, over on that Rumble chat, a Dingo Ate Me Baby's got a lot of great things to say about what's going on in Donbass and Kiev. Well, I would say Kiev, because the rumor I heard is that they were sick and tired of Lindsey Graham saying Kiev, so they took his ass out. You better say it's not chicken Kiev, it's chicken Kiev, you son of a bitch. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, isn't that crazy how they keep adding Y's to thing? They add Y's to Kiev. They keep adding Y's to Zelensky's name. What's he up to 3 now? But yeah, no, it's great. Thanks for letting me call in, and I like calling in when we agree on things. I think we agree on way more than we disagree on. But yeah, I like to bust your balls every once in a while in the chat.
I love it, bro. I love it. I see what you got to say. What's going on? I'm paying attention to it. I try not to watch too much, but when I see my friends over there, and I do consider you a friend, when I see you saying stuff, I'm like, Bob, you son of a beeswax. We don't disagree on much, but we do disagree on a few things, and that's okay. That's what this show is all about, calling in and talking it out and taking back the media that has been taken from us. Because I don't know if you've tried this experiment lately, Bob. Go sit down and try to watch 20 minutes of mainstream media. You'll want to pull your freaking eyes out. It is terrible. It's disgusting. Yeah, it's not media. It's propaganda.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It's terrible. And it's just like, I don't know what I'm trying to think for a good word. It's like divisive fuel or divisive something. It's just all it's trying to get people to do is be mad at their neighbor and not mad at their government. It's crazy.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Anyway,
thanks for letting me call. You got it, buddy. Anytime. Bob from Atlanta. So, yeah, Kiev's going to be hard to take. We don't know what happened with Lindsey Graham.
Glad he's dead. Let's just say that.
I mean, he's he's living on in legislation. It looks like they're trying to, bring back his sister's going up to sit in his position for a couple months. Yeah,
some nepotism.
That they're the same person.
Huh? What's that? I'm sorry.
The conspiracy theory is that they're the same person.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Lindsey's been known to go to the clubs, and so I don't know. I want to see how much they look alike. I'm going to take a look at that. How can his sister do that? Why are they allowing that to happen?
I think. Well, remember when John Ashcroft? I think it was Ashcroft, or maybe one of these senators from the Midwest. I can't remember. He passed away in office, and his wife. I think there's some sort of thing his wife can finish out his term, and his wife did finish out his term. I don't know if it's Ashcroft or not. It was somebody. And so I think there's precedent for it. But also what they don't want is they don't want the second primary guy to win. Lynch, I think his name's Lynch, the guy who primary. Yeah. Well, there was a 6-person primary, and Lindsey Graham won it really easily at 58%. But that's because the other votes were divided. And even if they hadn't been divided, Lindsey would have still pulled out with, I think, 51. Yeah. But they wanted to. This Lynch guy is a Republican, and he's kind of MAGA before MAGA got, Epstein, and so he says a lot of the things that I think voters in
South Carolina,
they might like, and plus because he just ran a primary, he's got name recognition, and then you got Nancy Mace, who's a virulent pro-war person, I think, unfortunately, and she won. I think she's going to throw her hat in for this, and she ran for governor and lost, I believe, and so she also has that name recognition. You want to take advantage of a fresh statewide campaign, because honestly, people vote for a name they recognize. They don't. It's just hard. So I don't think. I think Macy might take Mace, but I'm not 100% sure. She's not completely controllable by Trump. They don't want Lynch. So yeah, to keep Mrs. Graham in here or whatever her name is. Well, her name's not Graham. Her name is I guess she has a married name or something. But yeah, it's interesting.
Before I'm gonna ask the questions, guys. Just drive time. All the ways to help the show are down below in the description. We do this every Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time. Tomorrow there will not be a show. I am moving. I was going to try to maybe do a little early show, but I'm going to call Kyle and say, hey, man, I got to move. So we're going to take it off. But Kyle Anzalone does the Thursday.
I get to sleep in?
It's a holiday for you, Josh.
Yeah.
But on Tuesdays, we do Nico House, who was with us. On Mondays, we did Alex Strenger. He wants to come back to the show. He's very interesting. He's a conservative right wing. He's not really a right winger. He's independent, but he leans to the right. He was part of that whole Alex Stein kind of group of people. You know what I'm saying? They did a lot of work together. He did a lot of comedy in the city halls. He would come on a clown suit and go do that thing in the city hall. He's a really smart guy, but we have differences of opinion. And if we can settle him in where he doesn't jump on people's words and lets them speak, we'll allow him to come on back and do that with us. On Friday, we do have Andrew Ziegman. Last week, he was out. Hopefully, he will join us. But if you want to call in and speak to the Colonel, 561-247-2721, 561-247-2721. The last caller was great, Bob from Atlantis, because this is why I wanted the Colonel on the show, so we can talk about these things. Colonel, I think we need to talk about, first of all, before we talk about it, I want to say congratulations to the United States government and imperialist forces as they have successfully, get the clap track ready, they have successfully bombed Somalia for the 74th time this year.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Somalia. Ladies and gentlemen, let that sink in. We're bombing freaking Somalia. But please tell me how the Somalians.
The Dow right now.
The Dow is over. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, look. I just saw this this morning because, you know, the Iraqi guy, Trump did another embarrassing meeting with the head of the Iraqi prime minister. But I forget his name, but he's new, and we withheld, we threatened, and we talked about this. You know, the U.S. government, Trump specifically, threatened Iraq. They said, if you choose Maliki or any other Shia or anybody else to be your prime minister in Baghdad, you're not getting your money because, you know, what is it? It's the Bush's executive order back in 2003. I think it's 13033 is still in effect, and Biden extended it, kept it alive. It's 20 something years later. And what it does is, of course, all of Iraq's oil revenue goes into the Federal Reserve Bank in New York, and then we dole it out as part of the Iraq Reconstruction Fund or something, which is nothing but a slush fund for the United States and a bribery tool. So we told them you couldn't pick anybody unless we said it was okay, and we like this guy, so you're going to pick this guy. First, the parliament in Iraq resisted this and said, no, we're going to do our own guy. And then they went ahead and folded and put this guy up there. And then Trump has him in the White House. He says, I really like this guy. He's so good looking. He's so incredibly good looking. You know, he's Zoolander. And so we have.
He's got a rough pass, Karen.
What's that?
He said he's got a rough pass.
Yeah, he's got a rough pass.
He's got a rough pass.
Yeah. So Trump has got this going on, and that's fine. And then I read this morning, one of the things they talked about, and I hope it's true, we're pulling out the rest of our troops entirely from Iraq by September 30th.
That's a lie. That's a lie. I don't believe that for a second.
But listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying. Probably is a lie. We've said it before. But this is why I'm bringing this up, because you mentioned Somalia. What we're doing is we are leaving the Gulf states. They're too close to Iran, and Iran's kicking our butt every day. So we're moving them out. We can't trust these monarchies. We're moving them out, building a base in Gaza, probably going to build one in South Lebanon to go along with this massive embassy we just built in Beirut a couple years ago. And we're going to we're going to have bases north of Israel and south of Israel. And Israel, of course, is building a base in Somaliland. They already have an operational base in Puntland. And we're going to build our American base in Somalia, which is why we have to keep shooting them until we can totally control the area. And we're going to put a base there. And we also have a base, obviously, in what's that little place in the court? Now I can't think of it. The base, Cote d'Ivoire. No.
Socotra?
Djibouti
too. Yeah.
Fun word.
I think the Israelis are building a base in Socotra right now. We do have a caller.
So we're moving our bases eastward, and that makes sense. And then we can.
Which is also a reason to get a high budget too, because you got to replace the bases.
Oh my gosh, we have so many expenses. Yes,
Karen, I don't know who the Somalians think they are of having their land over our minerals, our rare earth minerals. Caller, who are you and where are you calling from?
It's Dave from Melbourne, buddy.
What's up, Dave?
Well, there's a lot going on this week, man. This stuff's crazy. But what I'm seeing is a ton of psyops going left and right, but I'm not even sure where to start.
Oh, we got the Colonel here, so start with a good one. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, like Nico covered, you know, the timeline doesn't match up for where and when Lindsey Graham passed away. And, you know, we have the straits apparently being open according to Trump, but they're really not. It's kind of dizzying at this point. But you know, what do you want to talk about today, Pasta? Because I'm not sure where to start.
Well, I mean, you really think that Russia would have whacked Lindsey Graham? I mean, I know he was the most pro-Ukrainian Senate member out there. I mean, Chris Murphy and Dick Blumenthal got to be added to that list. They're carrying the Democrats. Just, you know, Colonel Karen just pointed out something about Biden too as well. Let's not forget when it came to Iraq, Biden handed George W. Bush the Senate because they needed a Democrat to get them in fucking order. And he got the Democrats in line to vote. He pushed for that war himself. His fingerprints are all over that war. Joe Biden's fingerprints are over all wars. That guy's a pro-war guy. Mm-hmm. But do you really believe that Vladimir Putin and the Russian Federation would have whacked him? You think it's something accidental or whatever? And here's the thing. If it did happen that way, why haven't the Democrats come out full force? Because they hate the Russians anyway.
Yeah, this would be ideal for them.
Well, are they waiting for this to play this card? But what do you think, you know, Dave? Do you think that the Russian Federation would have whacked him? Because I certainly do not believe they would do that.
It's hard to tell, but you know, at that point when Lindsey Graham was visiting the Starfall munitions base, I believe it's called, he would have been a registered combatant, correct? So it would have been totally legit to take him out as an enemy combatant along with anyone else that was there to tour that, you know, UN NATO tour and basically, you know, justify the use of drones as a weapon of war. Something we're trying to oppose here as well in America in tandem with the flock camera issue. So it's really hard to say. And, you know, I don't like to speak, you know, incorrectly or jump to too many conclusions. But I will say that I think one of the reasons that Putin hasn't, you know, gotten more aggressive with the invasion of Kyiv is because, like we saw in the RT documentary, you know, these weirdos in the Azov have intentionally released viruses before, E. coli, cholera, and I believe a strain of COVID. So to go in too bold could be a suicide step. And I mean, Putin waited almost, 5 years from 2012 to 2017 between the time he heard about the biolabs and the confirmed report. Yeah. And then he made Medvedev wait for another 5 years for the 2022 invasion. So that's a decade of waiting. In the age of the New World Order, when China is selling out to the World Economic Forum as well, you know, it's really hard to say who the good guys and the bad guys are. So balls and strikes are really hard to call right now.
You know, why we got the Colonel here, why don't we ask her, too, as well? What have you heard from if you can talk about it? Because my friend from Melbourne over here, Dave, always talks about, too, as well, the sun dimming projects they have, right? Like a lot of people look at geoengineering and they look at it two ways. Dean Wigington, he would talk about it. It was the crown jewel of the military-industrial complex. If you can control the weather, you can control everything. You can bring about droughts. Ahmadinejad, who's been in the news lately for going over and
that's
ambassador work for Iran, going over to different countries and on their behalf. He had claimed that Israel was using technology that they got from the West to cause droughts in Iran, and now they're saying, as they've taken out a lot of these bases, missiles just rained down in Jordan again. That to me is the question. We understand that the United States are retracting from these areas. How far will they go back? Will Jordan be on the board for them? Will they have to retreat to even further west? That's a good question. But they're saying since they hit these bases in these Gulf areas, that now all of a sudden in parts of Iran, it's raining where it never rained before.
Yeah.
What did you hear about those geoengineering projects when you were on the Pentagon desk? Because we have a guy here who knows a lot about it. And
really, yeah, I nothing that I worked in was remotely. I never was exposed to any of that, and I have to tell you, for a long time, I thought this is just, seriously, this can't be real. But then it turns out we've had long programs in DARPA and the CIA as well to develop all kinds of things that I thought they weren't working on, and that's one of them. Now, the thing that really opened my eyes really is not secret information. It's what we saw. One of the very first things that in the 40-day war, in the first couple of days of that war, Iran targeted and blew up something, I guess it was in Kuwait, which is this, what they had identified or talked about as a weather modification station or control.
Yeah. The giant magnets or whatever they are.
I don't know what it was. But they took it out. They took it out early on, and they made it not work. They immobilized it. I don't know if they totally destroyed it, but it wasn't working anymore. And the rain started almost immediately, where rain hadn't fell for quite a long time. Now, they've got pictures of dams and lakes filling up. In fact, some weeks later, months later, there's pictures of the waterfowl that had returned after they had been gone for a long time. And, we also see this, we see, you can recover wetlands, you can get rid of dams and the rivers flow and things change. So water makes a difference. They have water in places they didn't have water before. And it was decades that they didn't have water. So, and they're very hard on Kuwait, even though they talk about, we love the Kuwaiti people. The Kuwaiti government's been up the Americans' gut for so long. I mean, we own them, and this has been going on since the first Iraq war. I mean, why did we go in the first time in Iraq? It was because of Kuwait. What was Kuwait doing? So they were slant drilling oil. Did we say they weren't? Yeah, we said they weren't until we went in, and actually it was shown and proven that they were, because we wanted them to. So we exploit the government. U.S. government exploits the people that run the U.S. government. We want to make money. We want to steal oil. We've been at it for quite a long time, stealing oil and manipulating.
What about this? Really quickly, I'm going to hand it over to Dave, though, but I want to get your opinion, because Dave does talk about this. And, when we talk about dimming programs, projects, right, to take away vitamin D, there is a theory out there, and I started to believe this. COVID really made me a believer that the United States government, via the military, now we know that DARPA did the research for mRNA for Moderna for their fucking vaccine. I mean, this is like right there. When you bring the military into play, right, you can lie to the people for the sake of national security. They wanted to keep us sick. There were comorbidities everywhere. There is that kind of mentality. Dave talks about the dimming, and that's to keep us from getting the proper vitamin D we need, making us in a state where we're always sick. As a person who has worked in the Pentagon, and after you make your comment, Dave, you can jump in. Do you believe that the military is very much capable of doing that? Because there's a lot of people out there that says, why would they want to do that? They're going to need our soldiers and people to fight. If they want to fight, they're going to need a bunch of white Americans to get behind them. Anyways, it's not like they want to make us sick and kill us. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the future wars, they don't need people to fight. They just need people to kill. The future wars are going to be drones and robots. So, and poison, use of genetically engineered poisons that kill certain categories of people, whether it's age.
Start with transhumanism and then eventually droids. But
it's
neural links and man and machine merging together. And Dave talked about that too.
People are the enemy of governments, whether they agree with, whether they think they are or not. The governments always see the people as enemies. So making people sick and weak, shortening their lifespans, making them unable to really sustain themselves in hard times, making them too fat, denying them vitamin D. And honestly, I didn't see my part, the DOD is very large. My part of it was not, I didn't witness any of this type domestic programs. The CIA's been into it for a long time. The CIA and the DOD are totally integrated as far as I'm concerned. Those resources can be used for the most unimaginable things. So I don't disbelieve any of it, but I will say, sunscreen, this is not, the DOD doesn't promote sunscreen necessarily, but we've been talking about how deadly the UV rays of the sun is for decades and telling people to put sunscreen on. And if you look at some of the studies now on not just the ingredients of sunscreens, anything you put on your skin goes into your body. First off, that's the whole nature of that. What do they call it? The largest organ that we have is our skin. So anything you put in is being entered into your bloodstream.
It's mostly palm oil, right? And I know that for sunscreen, the more sunscreen we produce, the more orangutans we kill out there.
I wouldn't be the least bit surprised about that. Yeah. But the idea that the sun is your enemy is something that's been promoted my whole entire lifetime. And
Gavin Newsom closed the beaches. You want to make this guy the fucking president?
Yeah. So they don't want people healthy. And honestly, the part of Maha, if you want to call it that, whatever it is, and it's not even Maha. People for a long time have started to wonder about what we're eating and how we're living, and is that really good for us? What role does the government have? We make fun of the ever-changing government food pyramid, which is we look back at the old food pyramids and we go, my God, that's the most worst thing you could possibly do. Why would the government advocate that? Well, because they want to sell oils and sugars. This is what, and wheat. This is what we want you to have. So we're starting to understand the government does stuff for the government's interest. The state pursues things for the friends of the state's interest, and it usually revolves around money of some sort. We're not taking care of people. We don't want healthy things for people. So dimming. Yeah. Dimming is.
Let's let Dave jump in and put a cherry on top. This guy has worked in this field before. I think this is the first time on a Wednesday you're calling in. I don't know. I could be wrong, but Dave, please have at it. Get your piece in here. We had Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski, who was at the Pentagon, talk about this, and I think it's very important too, as well, Dave. When she said the CIA and the DOD are merged together, I don't think people can really. They think that they're still separate entities and whatnot, and if they're merged together, that means the apparatus.
Well, they compete. They're merged together. They work together, and they also compete because the CIA has military operations stuff. They borrow special operations forces all the time. They set up military. They do things in conjunction with, in cooperation with. Yeah, I would say I wouldn't. Integrated may not be the right word, but I think it's very close to integration.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I would. First off, it's not the first time I've called in on Wednesday and had the honor of speaking with the Colonel here. I really respect her takes and how she approaches things from a neutral perspective, where she's willing to learn. We could all take a lesson from that. What I see is since 1948, we've had Operation Paperclip, we've had MK Ultra, we have Operation Northwoods, we have Operation Naomi, we have everything you can find on shows like Fringe, but it turns out to be that most of those experiments are absolutely real. We have DARPA transhumanism being funded by Trump, despite the fact he signed an SPM 7 against anti-Christian activities. I'm no theologian, but I'm pretty sure trying to resurrect human beings is an anti-Christian activity. So they kind of wag it in your face, and the CIA is the former OSS and Mossad, if I'm not mistaken. So, we had all these three-letter agencies formed in 1948, creating this infrastructure. What we've seen in the last decade is in 2016, Trump fully embraced sun dimming. They had it at Harvard as the Global Sun Dimming Project. And then by 2019, we're all getting herded to 4 states, which is California, Texas, New York, and Florida. And Florida said, hey, sunlight kills COVID. Meanwhile, they had active NOAA projects to block the sun, which they're still doing to this day, despite the embargo against ScopeX and SRM last year, which was operating openly through NOAA. And you can confirm this on their homepages, and they still have DIY grants for geoengineering on the NOAA homepages. So it's not like they don't advertise, and this ties into what else we were talking about, Pasta, which is the revelation of the method in ancient Talmudic practice. My research, as flawed as it may be, links the Bolshevik Black Sun and Rasputin to the rise of the Weimar Republic with the SS Dual Occult Society, to the Dashbold cult in Azov, which is still going on now, to the Dashbold uprising elucidated in the Archie documentary Inventing Ukraine, which created 75 neo-Nazi churches that still cosplay as Christian Zionists in America, the creation of Mormonism, Transfigurism, which, by the way, Mormons worship the same Dashbold God of light that the Azovs do right now, and Scientology. So we have this giant infrastructure that was created through politics, Hollywood. And as I like to say, these guys are masters of the combination shot. So we've got sun dimming, we've got the COVID narrative, we've got the bioweapon, which has now created a massive sterility issue in America. And now they have things like synthetic birthing chambers through DARPA. They've managed to monetize eugenics. It's a giant black hole, but it all seems to center around transhumanism. In 2015, when Trump ran, he had the full endorsement of Zoltan Isvan, who was also running for president as a transhumanist candidate. In 2019, we had a switch to Biden, and once again, Zoltan gave his full endorsement. This is creating a very tangled scheme that makes a very clear picture that does not quantify for home sweet home anymore.
Yeah.
It's true.
And he talks about, really quickly, Karen, revelation of the method. That is the science, or I don't shouldn't say the science or the theory or the ideology where the oligarchs or the elites or the oppressors have to put out the information to the people. Therefore, it kind of removes the karma from them. In other words, it can't come back on them because we told you what we were doing and you didn't do anything about it. That's what. Am I explaining that right, Dave?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So please, Karen, go ahead. You were saying
it's an ancient Talmudic practice.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things that is making Putin's public statements and his attitudes, the things he talks about popular around the world, really, is he very clearly talks about good and evil. And the evil, obviously, is what you're describing. And Putin himself, who is, I think, first off, he's been around for a long time. You know, he's a traditional guy. You know, he's not a crazy person. He's very logical and thoughtful. He increasingly is talking about evil forces. And then you have Iran, another state that is religiously kind of, you know, fused together religiously, and not like all Shia. Obviously, they protect a variety of religions in Iran, who are all loyal to the Iranian state. But this idea of good versus evil is very alive there. And the evil, of course, they look to the West. Putin does the same. So we're not Americans. We have been taught, Hollywoodized or whatever, to not talk in those terms of good and evil.
Yeah.
Both. I don't care what political movement it is. You know, oh, you know, it's just it's opinions. You know, you have your church. It's off to the side. Basically, you have to be part of. You have to be patriotic. That's all we care about, patriotic. And yet, the state itself is increasingly revealing itself to be really part of some sort of cult of control. This transhumanism thing comes into play, assuming that you're God. You know, controlling the weather is basically what do we used to call weather? Well, it was a God, act of God. The insurance companies call a weather related insurance claim it's a result of an act of God, but now it's really not an act of God. It's the act of government, and government sees itself. I say government, the people that are pulling the strings and manipulating whatever electoral system that we have. So I'm not opposed. I mean, I am not an expert on any of the stuff you're saying, but it fits very well with what the planet is up against. And some of these wars that we're seeing, war against Russia, war against Iran, of course, and also this idea in the West that China is a big enemy. China doesn't have a unified religion, but they certainly have a unified philosophy. And that philosophy is very, very different than what you're describing, this Zoltan kind of thing. You know, that is not, China wouldn't, I don't think, be very tolerant of what you're talking about there. So
the thing is too, though,
into dark and light, good and evil.
Yeah.
I don't like to talk in those terms, but I think we are increasingly going to have to.
I'm going to look it up right now. And the reason why I've always believed in transhumanism and thought it was coming was when they started getting a lot of buzz about the Zorro Ranch and Governor, what's his name, Bill Richardson, and his activities there and whatnot and everything. The New York Times put out one article, and it was small, and it didn't explain it. But this is that, David, that revelation of the method, where they said Jeffrey Epstein was practicing transhumanism on Zorro Ranch. And then we heard that he was keeping several young girls pregnant. He was doing all this fucking weird testing and studying along with Bill Gates. You know what I'm saying? So I've always believed at the end of the day that these oligarchs want to get to that area with these elitists, these globalists, whatever you want to call them. I call them the parasitic class. They want to practice transhumanism, and it's on the market. A lot of the things that take place in Haiti, where a lot of people have reported sacrifice, children being stolen and whatnot, right? And then you talk about the iridium. Why do they keep, and if you understand and you pay attention to government and you pay attention to American foreign policy, it's America that is keeping Haiti down. It really is. It's keeping it poor. Anytime they get any momentum, they coup that government. Jean-Bertrand Aristide has been couped twice. He's been on fucking Marine helicopters taken out of the country. Is that you? Who's making noise back? Is that Josh or is that you, Dave? I'm sorry.
Sorry, that's me. I was making coffee.
It's okay.
And I'm on speaker.
But I'm gonna let you get the last words there. But I do believe that transhumanism has been taking place, and it is something. It is the next. For me, I fear the technocrats more than I fear the Zionists. Right? I think that Peter Thiel, and look at these flock cameras, and maybe put a bow on it. And you could also talk about what these flock cameras are doing. This is fucking crazy, and I am so happy to see such a push on Twitter against flock cameras and data centers, because I read something the other day, 75,000 cameras out there, AI cameras right now, over like 2 billion video feeds per fucking month or something, 2 billion, zero warrants. They're looking and spying on everything. Dave from Melbourne, take the last 60 seconds, put a bow on it, and then we'll get on over to the next caller.
So until this past year, I had high hopes for China. I was even crafting plans to go over there and learn street food, maybe get a flying car because they seem to be so advanced. But then I found Xi's speech about embracing sun-dimming technologies for his country as well, which really made me throw a side eye at the entire BRICS institution. Because why would an institution founded on, sharing with the people and orthodoxy as Russia is, suddenly embrace sun dimming at the World Economic Forum? And I mean, the question kind of answers itself because these are World Economic Forum members. And this is where transhumanism is centered on the global stage. The refugee crisis, all of it. It creates a situation where people are in places they don't belong so they can easily disappear. Say to order a life extension system for a Saudi prince, you would need someone in his direct family or someone that matches his genetic demographic. You can't afford to miss blood types on this because you'll kill your patient and you'll lose your investment. They did this with the first cryogenics victims who turned into soup, so they learn from their mistakes. But it's not just flock cameras. When I went and looked, I found articles in Popular Mechanics about birds that are biomodified after their deaths to be surveillance drones. This is why people think birds aren't real. The project has gone way deep into necromancy at this point. And it's like a cult, like we saw on Monday with the occult reflexes to adamantly defend AI and Bitcoin despite the obvious bad product that it is becoming and revealing itself to be. So I urge everyone to learn more about the Transhumanist Party and DARPA transhumanism, because before you are one of those labs on labs like we see in Haiti, in Africa with the Epstein visits, these reports are only coming out now, and these are from the survivors. We have millions of victims of transhumanism, potentially billions right now with the vitamin D deficiencies that are going on globally. We cannot ignore this anymore. So time is urgent. And I stress everyone to look, because you might find something that I missed. And I've been looking at this for a decade. But every time a new set of eyes gets on it, these people get more and more nervous. And their fear and their need to advertise what their crimes are ritualistically will ultimately be their undoing.
I hope so.
There's a Gaia Hopi prophecy that says when the sky is covered with spider webs, the chosen time will have arrived. Okay, this is a prophecy from like 11,000 years ago. How they know? Because this technology is not new. It's been used before. It's wiped out entire societies before, and it's being used again by people that don't even have the acumen to use it properly. We could heal the planet with this stuff, And there's no good reason that we're not. So you got to call your Congress people. You got to petition your town halls. You got to call these people out to their faces. I'm planning to go see Byron Donalds and ask him why he is a traitor for Israeli transhumanism straight to his face. So get out there, find out who your transhumanist politicians are, and call them out in public. Just like Peter Thiel had to run to Argentina after he got called out in public. Make these people run.
Yeah. Day two of the second administration. Day two.
Make them run.
By the way, Larry Ellison stood up there, day two, Donald Trump's presidency, talked about, won't it be great when, there'll be no crime in the future because everything will be filmed and they can pick this up. And then he also talked about AI vaccines that will go into your body and make a vaccine specifically for your type. I mean, they're talking about the transhumanism, dystopian fucking world right in front of our faces. So, I mean, when Dave speaks all this stuff, I say, show me the lie. Dave, thank you so much for calling in for maybe not your first time on a Wednesday, but call in again. We appreciate you, brother.
Good luck on your move, Pasta, and thanks for giving me a voice. The vaccine aerosolized lobby is in Gates' hands, and he's already dropped a few vaccines on us since 2018. So looking into that could also reveal a lot of these sicknesses that are popping up. Yeah. And once again, thanks for giving me a voice.
You got it. They're vaccinating our cows, Karen. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's I think what we live in a time where we're finding out so many things that we've heard about and discounted because that wouldn't happen, and then it actually is well on its way. So again, yeah, I think people in the article that I put out, I think yesterday, or it's on the Rockwell today, it's on the Substack, but it's asking a lot of questions. But I really think that the war against people by the state, the elites, whatever you want to call them, has been ongoing for quite a long time. And I think they're quite far ahead of us. I think they're really ahead of us in their planning and their strategy, because so many actual good people, regular people, we can't imagine transhumanism. That's like, what, that's insane, right? I mean, but
that's what they're going to say. And
that's right. And it's hard to imagine that people would do that. But what it is that we really have to start with is you have to, everybody really on the planet, but certainly let's just stick with Americans right now. We all need to elevate the level of contempt and distrust that we hold our government in. And that includes bureaucrats. Good people work for the government. Okay, fine. Sure they do. We need to be suspicious of them, and not suspicious like, they're going to hurt me personally, but we need to have a kind of healthy contempt for our rulers. Yeah. Always when revolutions have happened, it starts with a shared and widespread and very healthy contempt for the rulers. And I want to mention something actually, because it happened this week.
By the way, I did put this up, what you talked about. I just want to kind of, because you mentioned this before, the senators.
Oh, yeah, that's disgusting.
To honor Lindsey Graham, and Dick Blumenthal is in there. So
first off, we don't need to honor Lindsey Graham. What a piece of work.
Yeah. Do we still have the phone call, or did it hang up, Sleepy?
I'll hang up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to mention actually is USA Today. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday. In Eisenhower Media Network, and General Leitch is the executive director, retired General Leitch. Anyway, he wrote a piece that he ran as an advertisement in the USA Today. I believe it was Monday. Might have been Tuesday. Can't remember what day it was, but it's a really good article on reminding us of Eisenhower's distrust of the establishment, certainly the military-industrial complex, but the military-industrial congressional complex. They're all in this. They're integrated together, and they are the enemy of the people. They are the enemy of using our tax dollars and our resources and our energies to make our country healthier, better, more fair, more just, more extend our lifespans, whatever it is that we need to do, that we should do for our country, putting our country first. Eisenhower was about that. And he warned what was going to prevent it. And it was the military-industrial congressional complex. We started talking about it today. We talk about it every day. Everybody talks about it. But I would encourage everybody to check that out. You can find the full text at the Eisenhower Media Network website.org. You can look it up at USA Today. If you have that, read that letter. It's not exceptionally long, but he reminds us anyway. The theme of that letter, and why I thought of it just now, even though I've been thinking about it, is Thomas Paine's words. Thomas Paine, you remember, Thomas Paine, one of the, you could call him a founding father, but really he was a firebrand. And Thomas Paine was not a landowner. Okay. He was, grew up poor, stayed poor. He was a radical, but so were the founders. Many of the founders were radicals, right? I mean, here they are throwing off a government that they were all really part of. I mean, a lot of these guys had been British governors in the colonies. They're benefiting from this state. And yet it became so intolerable, and the people themselves found it intolerable. And the guy that put the best voice to this was Tom Paine. And Tom Paine's, give me liberty or give me death. That's just one of many things that he articulated. But his contempt, and if you read anything from Tom Paine, any paragraph, you will see it dripping through the words, his contempt for the British state, his contempt for the king, his contempt for monarchies, his contempt for totalitarianism, his contempt for people that hold themselves above the law, people that don't believe in equality. And here's a guy that understood what equality was, because he grew up as very unequal to everything, but he understood this and he articulated it. He was a firebrand. And throughout this letter that's in this ad, this letter that from the Eisenhower Media Network and the USA Today this week, this letter embraces Tom Paine more than it does even Eisenhower, even though we have quotes from Eisenhower's Cross of Iron speech, which was not the farewell speech where he warned us. His Cross of Iron speech said, hey, by the way, we just ended a war, and every piece of weaponry, every tank, every piece of iron that took away from our roads, our farmers, our technology, everything that we need. He said, no, the military state doesn't make us better. It makes us weaker. And I'm going to throw in one more tiny little thing. But
we do have a caller. Could you hold on to the tiny thing? Okay. No, it's okay. Caller, who are you? Where you're now? You're here with Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski. Hold on to that thought, though.
I will. Yeah, it's something that I want to.
Oh, this is Wesley from Florida. The man who brought you Erica Kirk is Donald Trump's daughter.
Yeah. I kind of repeat that. I keep questioning. Is Erica Kirk Donald Trump's daughter from the beauty pageants? Please continue, Wesley.
So I was thinking about more current what's going on today. I mean, I love Dave. He goes all over the place, and I totally am the same way with going way back in history and forward and back. But Trump's speeches since when he called the Joint Chiefs of Staff together, that's a great speech because he talks about death and falling down the stairs, which is how his wife died, but no one brings the two things together. Anyways, after they did the rescue of the downed F-15 pilot in Iran, which I believe is a complete cover story, because during that press conference and the day after, when he had the kids in his Oval Office, he was talking about how they had snipers on buildings shooting women right between the eyes, which makes me think he had just been debriefed on it and had seen video from these snipers. And I think these snipers were the same people that the Saudis, I think they were Saudis, put into Iran to try to foment war and uprising after the hijab demonstrations or whatever. They tried. And so this is what it looks like to me. And that photo of the F-15 chair was clearly one of the F-15s that fell in Kuwait, because they obviously didn't fly somebody in to take photos in Iran. So the plane lands and crashes, and they were picking people up, and there were two small Bluebird helicopters. There were also two Bluebird helicopters that they were sold to the Saudis that flew over the Las Vegas shooting. And so this ties the whole al-Walidi family thing, ABS, Saudi bow on the whole deal and how the whole thing's working together. And al-Walidi was kind of put in his place at that time by ABS. There was a little internal coup there. But if you look at al-Walidi's relationship to Trump, when Trump was having troubles financially in the 80s, al-Walidi bought what used to be Adnan Khashoggi's yacht off of Trump at that point to inject money back into Trump. So it's basically, you see the relationship there. There's something going on. And of course, al-Walidi, he went to several different schools around the world, but one of them was the Syracuse Maxwell School of he's on the board of the Syracuse Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs as an honorary member. Mm-hmm. So you have the Maxwell angle, the same boat that it's so told the whole Iran-Contra deal. I almost think they're trying to keep the people that they trust that are in power, that are down with the whole Greater Israel Project in Iran. I think the U.S. has been selling Iranian oil. Kuwait has been selling Iranian oil the whole time, and that the whole thing is a front. It's all a story, and what's really going on is a lot more straight up dirty capitalism
in the Iran situation. So the Iran war is what you're saying.
In the Iran war is just part of it. I mean, it's the Greater Israel Project. It's how they're building the world. You know, this is, they all wear the same badges from Knights of Malta. Even in the people that are, and a lot of those are out of the Prague branch of the what are they? The Masonic order or whatever. You know, if you look at Zelensky and the guy before him, both have the same award. They both go to the same award ceremonies. So I don't, how are you? You're cooing the guy that you end up hanging out with later. That doesn't make sense. And Brzezinski has like the same award, another award from that same institution. So you look at the people that are running things, and they play the game. People if you're getting your news through the news, you don't know what's going on. Is what I'm saying.
That's for sure.
The news ain't the news. I'm laughing because every once in a while I peek at it, and man, it's bad. Fox News really is bad.
Yeah,
it's just.
And CNN Meet the Press. Did you see the Meet the Press interview with Trump? The questions that they asked, the way they talked about Lindsey Graham. This was right after, because Lindsey Graham was supposed to be on Meet the Press, so Trump called in, or they called Trump, and they're so obsequious, and they're so they actually, I guess there's still people watching these shows. I think the number is much smaller than they imagine it is.
Yeah,
it's shocking to see.
But you have to watch them to catch them in their own lies. That's the thing, because you know they're lying.
There's an easier way to do it. You don't have to watch them. Everything, if their lips are moving, they're lying. So you can discount all of it is lies. I mean, yes, there's intelligence. Ability to listen to what they're saying so we can interpret what they're lying about, but we know they're lying. There's nothing truthful that comes out.
Karen, from a person who sat on the desk on the Pentagon, how much to the people are they telling the truth or lying about when it comes to our national security and our foreign policy? You know what I'm saying? I mean, are they telling little truths, or I mean, is everything they're telling us completely a lie the majority of the time? What do you?
The latter. Everything that they're saying is a lie the majority of the time, and lies go in the Pentagon. The Pentagon military people are lied to as well. The people that run you could say, and I think it's not over the top to say a grand global American strategy. We consider that we have a global empire. We have 80 bases around the world. We have the world divided into combatant commands, right? And we say that we control this. We have Southcom, we have CENTCOM in the Middle East. We have EUCOM in Europe. We have these PACOM covers Pacific. So we imagine the United States, the elites, the government, the steady government that never changes no matter who the president is, they imagine they control the world. So it's not over the top to say they have a global plan. And in that global plan, there's narratives. And many of those narratives are pushed on the actual military. When they tell, when we got so many of our guys back, whether it was from the first Iraq war, well, go back to Vietnam, go back to Korea. When we got our guys back from all the wars that we've had, Afghanistan, Iraq 1 and 2, et cetera, they come back here, and what do they say to the people? What do they say to their friends when they're drinking beers late at the night? They say, what they told you we were doing, not what we were doing. The reason they told you we were there, that's not why we were there. And then they have their theories. Usually they're right. And we have Smedley Butler explained. He said, very publicly, he was a danger to American Republic. He was viewed by both parties as a very dangerous guy because he said what we were doing in the Philippines, not only was it not what you were told or what I was told, but here's what it really was. And here's the receipts. So this is not new. The government lies to the people. It lies to its instruments. It lies to its people that it works with. You think we didn't lie to Ukraine? Yeah, we're going to put biolabs in your country. They're going to be for agricultural purposes. They'll be totally safe. Don't worry about it. This is great for you. You'll make money. We'll make money. It's all good. No, we didn't tell them that we're looking for to develop bioweapons that are actually are targeted to Slavic people. Oh, by the way, you like Ukrainians? Yeah, like that. But we don't tell them that. So everybody, the government lies to everybody. The people in the elite system also lie to each other. Now, the one thing that's good news about all this is why are the elites and the governments targeting their own people and the elites getting bunkers that they can live in for years at a time. That's scary because maybe they want to destroy the world and survive it with their transhumanism plan, with a bunch of bodies that they've grown to replace their organs, whatever it is. You could say that. But the fact is they're scared. The fact is they are concerned that their stories are no longer believed, that their narratives are falling flat, that people are figuring out the game. And they're very worried about that. So this is a sign it's a positive sign. And also the thing I was going to mention about government showing their problems internally that are caused by their own policies. We know that our military industrial complex sucks up tons of money, increases our interest cost, our national interest debt on our, most of it's military debt. And then it doesn't really do things, but they tell us it creates jobs. But we know that the military industrial complex creates the fewest number of jobs for every tax dollar invested. We know that. The economy knows that. Everybody knows that. But the interesting thing is, there was an article just this morning in Israeli media and an Israeli, I don't know if he's a comptroller or he's somebody that works in the Israeli treasury side of the house. And he said, we cannot keep funding these wars, and we need to stop with the funding of our entire military industrial complex. And why did he say that? He's an Israeli. He probably wants to destroy Palestinians and live in their houses. Okay. But why did he say that? He said, because the numbers aren't working. The military industrial complex in Israel does not produce jobs. It does not produce an environment that creates more jobs. It does not help us economically. He said, we have to put, listen to this, Pasta, we have to put more money into education, infrastructure, and taking care of our own people.
We got a Marxist in Israel.
No, but we
got a Marxist in Israel.
He's speaking the truth, and he's warning about not just the constant war that they have developed as Israelis' foreign policy, but the cost of that and what it does, how it warps the economy, how it destroys people's lives in their own country. And they're saying that. So the people know we're being lied to by the state. That's easy. That's an easy tell. If their lips are moving, they're lying. But also they are scared of us realizing this, of the greater majority of citizens in every country around the world. They're scared of us recognizing that we are getting basically raped and pillaged by the state, by our own government.
When I hear my friends that I have that kind of talk about like war as a necessity and a positive thing, and we have to do these things, and they try to kind of present some honor to it whatsoever, and it's part of their whole story of why they're here and they're existing. It justifies, if you justify the war, you can justify our bullying and our existence. But let me say this much, Wesley, while I got you on the phone and while the Colonel's here, and we got about 9 minutes left, so this will probably be the last topic we talk about. Even though there's a lot of kabuki theater going on and globalists are maybe running the world and manipulating everything, Colonel Karen just said that they lie to us about everything and stuff like that. The way I still approach this as in a logical way. Like, in other words, I think that kind of people, when they say, oh, all these assholes are working behind the scenes together, they still look at us all at an even keel level. Like what Iran's doing with their nefariousness is the same as the Americans. They're all part of the same thing, and they look at it equally. I don't think that's effective. I still think that even though things are happening that we don't know about, we still have to hold the main aggressors accountable, being the United States and Israel.
Yeah.
So even if there is something going on globally, and this might be playing out in Iran, because listen, Johnny Vedmore, right, who I'm not crazy about everything he says, but he had talked on the show that we were on Crosstalk. We were on, that's when me and you met, Karen. We were on Crosstalk together. I was on with Johnny. And Johnny had talked about the Iran situation, that we were working with their intelligence apparatus when we overthrew the Shah, when we overthrew Mossadegh to insert the Shah, meaning that they had a piece in what had taken place.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I haven't heard a lot of things about like that. That's kind of a little iffy. But Wesley, and I'll give you the first comment, and then I'll let Colonel tie up the show. Don't you think that even though there are things that are being played out in front of us, kabuki theater, to make us think that what's really going on is what's really going on while they're scheming behind the scenes, don't you still believe that we have to hold the United States, Israel, and her allies accountable for the main major aggressors of this planet with 800 plus bases and, what I like to say, Christian bombs dropping everywhere? Don't we have to still hold our side accountable?
Well, personally, I don't think it's our tribe. Our tribe isn't in control. For the most part, America is not in control of its own military or any of that stuff. If you look at what Lewis Black said when he was on Joe Rogan and how he had been invited to Epstein's house, and there was a whiteboard where Epstein and Ehud Barak had battle plans. Were they planning October 7th? Is that what was going on? Like, this is 2019. So he's looking at battle plans for the future post that period, in which case, then what battles have happened since then? That's what's going on now. So our foreign policy is run out of Epstein's New York house. That's the problem. That's a problem I see in America. We're living in a coup. We don't have a government. It's so much worse than most people are willing to admit.
Yeah, that's a good point. Karen, why don't you put a bow on it, and then we'll wrap up the show. Wesley, thank you so much for calling in, brother. I'm going to still look into Erica Kirk and see if we can get a DNA test and see if she is Donald Trump's daughter. I love the fact he brought that to the table. But thank you for calling in, Wesley. We're going to give Colonel the final word on that, on what's really happening out there. Go ahead, Colonel.
No, I mean, he's
letting me bend your ear.
right.
Love talking with you.
Yep.
You got it.
Peace.
Go ahead, Colonel.
No, Wesley's right. I mean, our government doesn't. It's not accountable to the people that supposedly establish it and supposedly control. We don't control our government, and we've known this for the government knows it, and we knows it. I mean, we've known it.
Funded too.
I mean, the study from I think 2014 with the two academics put together. They said, if anything, we are a kind of oligarchy, but we're definitely not a democracy. And what they did is they looked at the data. They did it in a very political science kind of way, looking at of the things that the people say they want, either through parties or through groups and whatever. Do we get those things enacted in policy? And the answer, of course, was no. But do the things the elites want that they have articulated as their preferred policies and whatever, do they happen? And of course they do. So the voting aspect of the whole thing is really just another aspect of the kabuki theater. We go through the motions, but it really doesn't change anything. So that's fair. That's proven scientifically. We all sense it, and many people know it in great detail why it doesn't work. So, and then you get the other end of the spectrum, which is the whole globe is messed up, and we've got all these powers that we can't understand and we can't contact, we can't manipulate, they manipulate us, we can't control them. Okay, fine. Well, I think and this is the note that we all have to understand. It's kind of philosophical, and I think that the Chinese philosophies have this, the ancient Persian philosophies have this, you can only control what you can control. And what is that? What is that? Well, we control ourselves. We control our what's inside of our brain, how we process information. We are not slaves to anything if we choose not to be slaves. That's a fact. I'm sorry. Even if we are enslaved, as they have slave markets in Libya after we
Thank you, Barack Obama.
Yeah, but your mind is the thing that is yours, and your spirituality is yours, and you start with that. You start with what you can control. And there's a reason that our government loves to encourage alcohol and manage alcohol like it's not a drug. Okay, there's a reason we have government subsidized state lotteries and gambling and online. There's a reason the government loves sports and sports betting, because all of these things suck away from our individual power to control our own minds and to use our little brains, which are actually quite powerful, to use those little brains to think, to perceive, and then to act. And we can only act for ourselves, but once we understand things, then we help other people, and then we help them act. So we have great power that is purposely limited by all governments for the most part, but particularly as Americans, we can see how our own culture, we talk about Hollywood so much, how CIA and DOD, any war movie and half the dramas, half of the tearjerkers are controlled and managed and input by the CIA, the DOD, and Big Pharma. It's all connected because why? There's messaging there that they use. It's important to them that we think a certain way. And guess what? So what can we do to fight that? Well, we can't know everything, but we can certainly choose to think a certain way. And we can certainly choose to be aware that if we're getting intellectually slapped upside the head, that we don't take that anymore. We don't have to take that. And it's really important to be people who are worthy of self-government. One of the things I think, I think it's very impressive to watch how Iran has, as people, have shown up for their religious leader who was unjustly assassinated at age 87, for gosh sakes. What was the point in killing the guy? 87 years old. But no, we had to slap him in the face with it. We had to do this terrible, evil thing. We did it. But the reaction of the people has been a very visceral, and you say, oh, that's patriotic. Well, it's spiritual is what it is. It is a visceral community spiritual reaction that reflects unity, and the unity came about, and it's there, and it's powerful, and it scares President Trump to death, and it scares the deep state to death, because there is no, I hate to quote the Bible, but when they say put on the full armor of God, why does that protect you? Why does that protect you? Because you have a spiritual power. You have it's not an intellectual thing, but it is a matter of making your own choices and saying. And this is what all the great religions say. They all say, well, you're a child of God. Don't the Christians say that we're a child of God? We say that, except for the Palestinians. We want to kill them. And then our Russian.
They're not children of God. They're
not children. But we do know from Sunday school, and I think all the religions teach this, and even certainly non-Christian religions have the same idea, that the Creator has created you. And I'm not trying to give any type of religious lecture, but what I'm saying is we as individuals, we as communities have incredibly great power, and that power frightens the living daylights out of any false government.
Yeah. Well, we say with great power comes great responsibility. I hope we step up to the responsibility and use that power one day. Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski, we've run out of time. We've run out of real estate. Thank you so much for joining the show. I think this is the largest number of watchers we've had at one time. I think we had 85 live between Rumble and YouTube, which is kind of cool. You know, because when the show first started, we had like 22 live towards the end. And every week it just keeps creeping. It's a little humbling for me because I did this years and years ago. And then my show took off, the Convo Couch, and we were sanctioned, censored, and shut up. But we're not sanctioned, censored, sanctioned, or shut up here. We are speaking loudly. And that's Colonel Kwiatkowski with us on Wednesdays. I know you're not doing Judge this week because he's on vacation and probably next week. So where else can people go find some of the stuff you're doing? What appearances, where, and where can we get more? Because to me, Colonel, you're like cowbell and Christopher Walken. I need more Karen. More cowbell. Please let people know.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, Substack, I have my writings, and I'm actually, there's podcasts out there, not so much American ones. Yours is important. There's others that I'm on, and I try to share those. And I can't even remember some of them. I was with Lena out of Austin just on Monday, and this afternoon I'm going to be on the Lebanese TV station, but I'm on there frequently. So these are not things that Americans
not press TV. Is it?
No, it's not Press TV.
That's
It's
Iran.
Al Muhajin, I think, but it's a Lebanese station. And
I'm
anyway,
glad they found you. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I was talking with Ahmad. I can't think of his name. He does a daily show for 4 hours every night. He's been in Iran for the funeral. He's been there for over 10 days and hasn't got much sleep. He's got tons of stuff, and he's running his show out of Iran. And you know what? The internet was a little choppy, but you know what? It broadcast, and he's had all of his regular guests, and he has me on probably once or twice a week. So anyway, we're just talking.
Do you repost these on your Twitter?
I try to, but I'm not very good at the video reposting because I forget to go find it. And usually the people are so busy, they don't send you the link afterwards. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But
such a boomer, Karen.
I know. The technology. I'm just caught up with the technology. Yeah. But
we know you're not close to the transhumanism thing because you can't even repost a video from YouTube.
I can't even repost a video on my Substack, and they make it so easy, and I still don't do it. But I'm trying to get better. But anyway, there's lots of people. There's so many people that are saying what we're saying in some way or another, and that's really where people get their news. You really can't watch mainstream American news or even European mainstream news. You have to.
It's about sources. It's about getting the right people in the right regions for the right questions and the right thing. And that's I think what makes this show so special for me is I have different sources from different areas and different people, right? And
that's important.
You're an amazing source. Your history, what you've done, hearing all the people from Judge Knapp when they're on the show. I've heard so many times like Larry Johnson and Ray McGovern quote your work or something you said, and we had such a great time on Crosstalk, and I really am. I got to say thank you. I am so humbled that you do the show with us on Wednesdays. I get great response from the audience, and thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel. Next week, Wednesday, I'll be in Peru as we'll be talking, so it'll be a lot of fun because I'm going down there. Peru and Bolivia, ladies and gentlemen, they have a lot of lithium. And the United States wants it. And the people, from what I'm understanding, is they're not accepting the results. They look like there was Western influence. I don't want to say Israel and Israel alone because people love just throwing that out there. Once again, it was the transhumanist, technocratic oligarchs that were involved.
That's
and
right.
Elon Musk has even said, we'll coup who we want to when it comes to lithium. And Peru is under attack. So we'll see what that's like. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel, for coming on today, and have a blessed Wednesday.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up the show today. Sleepy, let me know when we can launch.
I'm working on
it. He's working on it. Like I said today, over 85 people.
Oh, it's getting wonky.
And
I think it's your speakers.
My speakers?
Yeah, I think it's the echo cancellation. It should be good now. I turned it down.
Okay. DC, stop talking shit about Stalin, okay? Libertarians always coming in talking shit about Stalin. As we wrap up today's show, let's take a moment to reflect on the importance of diversity of thought and the peace we can cultivate with our neighbors. In a world that often feels divided, it's our differences that can actually bring us together. Every unique perspective, every story shared enriches our collective experience and fosters understanding. Remember, it's okay to disagree. It's how we handle those disagreements that truly matters. Let's embrace dialogue over debate, compassion over conflict. When we listen to one another, we open the door to meaningful relationships. By engaging in our diverse communities, we can find common ground and build bridges that promote peace. So I encourage you to reach out to someone with a different viewpoint. Share a meal, have a conversation, or simply listen. Let's create a ripple effect of kindness and understanding in our neighborhoods and beyond. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. Remember, together we can celebrate our diversity and pave the way for a more brighter, more peaceful future. So until next time, keep the dialogue flowing and the peace growing. For Sleepy J and all our great callers today, all our awesome people in the chat, our producers, Gabrielle Freedom, Fred Edward, thank you so much. All you people with the wrench, We love you too as well. I can't remember everybody who called today. We had 4 callers today, I believe, right? We had Dave from Melbourne. We had Wesley is he from Florida, Wesley? I don't know where you're from. Who else did we have today? We had Bob from Atlantis call in. My friend, he called in too as well. And if I'm missing you or forgetting you, remember that I love you. Until next time, there'll be no show tomorrow. I think, Sleepy, maybe we can run our first Thursday episode, I guess, maybe at the time slot to keep the algorithm going. I don't want to lose the momentum. We'll figure that out. I'll talk to Sleepy, see what we can do. But until Friday, I love you all. We'll see you later. And remember, peace.